can't believe I'm about to say this, but this might be the lowest point for the Cleveland Browns in the 21st century, right now in this moment. New details just came out about Quinshawn Judkins' arrest, the official report. You can go read it on your own. If it's true, it's as bad as it gets. As bad as it gets. This is the third time in 4 years that somebody picked within the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft by the Browns has had off-the-field issues.
As friends, after the alleged incident took place on the 7th, the victim stayed with Judkins for an additional 5 nights before notifying the law. So, major updates in the Quinshawn Judkins situation. First off, Browns rookie running back Quinshawn Judkins is out of jail. He bonded out at $2,500 at 3:45 today. So that was Sunday, right? July 13th. Now, we're going to go piece by piece here to escalate it to a felony, right? And from what this looks like, that didn't happen, right? So I think that is extremely positive, and hopefully, I mean, again, there's gonna be more details. I don't want to jump the shark, jump the gun, or anything, but as it stands, you know, people were speculating on why he was still in jail. Well, he's out of jail. And some people were saying, well, he has no bond. Again, he had no bond because of the nature of the case, not necessarily because he was going to have no bond, right? So I think we can put those things aside and kind of look at it there. Even more details just came out, so I had to do this while I was editing this video. But as I was doing it, July 14th, Tom Pelissero tweeted out the official account for running back Quinshawn Judkins. I had a whole video. It was uploaded of me yapping about the details I just read you about. That don't really matter because there's more details. So speaking of it, let's kind of go through these. They look like they were on a potato, but I have 2 different versions of it. So we'll just go to the actual tweet itself. So you know, obviously the initial reports are the whole delayed, you know, the delayed situation, right? And I was kind of alluding to the fact that, you know, some people might use that as an excuse to possibly discredit what happened. But now we know more, so maybe this can be a better way for us to make these decisions. So see if we can zoom in here. So on July 12th, 2025, I responded to Fort Lauderdale Police Department temporary headquarters, 1515 West Cypress Road. I made contact with the victim who wished to report an incident of DV with her boyfriend. The victim provided a voluntary record and taped statement. The victim stated she arrived at Fort Lauderdale International Airport, like we talked about, via flight with the defendant on Monday, July 7th, late in the evening. The victim stated after departing the plane, she used the restroom. The victim stated she emerged from the restroom and then proceeded to baggage claim with the defendant. The victim stated that baggage claim, the defendant stated, "Oh, wow, I can't believe you, and I'm so done with you." The victim stated she had no clue as to why the defendant stated this. The victim then entered a Lamborghini SUV vehicle that was already waiting for them at the airport. The victim advised they exited the airport in the vehicle. The victim stated the defendant was showing frustration after he read text messages from family members. The victim stated that she was trying to explain to the defendant that the messages were not true. The victim stated she suffers from anxiety and began to stutter while explaining herself. The victim stated that the defendant then raced her in the mouth chin area with a closed fist. I don't want to say, you know, but you know what I'm saying. The victim still had visible bruising on her chin area. Okay, well, let's finish. The victim showed me a photograph that she took the following day of her chin/lip area. The bruising was clearly evident. The victim stated that the defendant pulled over at one point and she exited the vehicle and called the defendant's mother. The victim stated that she did not tell the defendant's mother what had just transpired. The victim advised, she re-entered the vehicle but sat in the back seat. The victim stated, that's what the mom was saying, I guess. The victim stated the arguing continued. The victim then stated that she was still trying to explain the text the defendant read were taking out of context. The victim stated that the defendant turned around while he was driving and struck her additional times in the left arm and thigh. The victim had visible bruising on her left arm and thigh. The victim also displayed photographs that were taken just after the incident with similar bruising. The victim stated that while the defendant was striking her in the instance, she began to kick her feet in his direction to defend herself. And then, of course, the victim stated that she pulled The defendant, this is terrible, dog. This is tough because the police report is saying that there is proof, but I don't want to get into that. Because at first I was like, oh my God, because I made a prediction about, it was about text messages, but I was hoping that this reporting would just, hey, it was a push, it was a shove, it was something that could have been, hey, still wrong. But let me finish this. The victim stated the defendant pulled into a Burger King lot, which point she exited the vehicle at additional time. The victim stated she ultimately re-entered the vehicle, told the defendant, "Don't touch me again." The victim was asked why she did not contact 911. Again, a lot of people on Twitter, when the first part came out yesterday, well, why didn't she immediately? Well, here's your response here. The victim stated that she felt bad due to the recent success and career of the defendant. The victim stated that she decided to contact the police on today after speaking with family and friends and coming to the realization something needed to be done. The victim and defendant resided together as if a family between May 2024 and December 2024. The victim and defendant were not in a relationship between 24 and June 25. They rekindled their relationship. The victim stated that she is currently and has previously been in an intimate and romantic dating relationship with the defendant. So this is an ex thing, clearly. The victim stated that the defendant multiple physical strikes at her were against her will. The victim advised she desired persecution. I made contact with the defendant. The defendant invoked his Miranda rights and was not asked any questions. The defendant was placed under arrest for DB, and he actually intentionally struck the defendant multiple times against her will. The defendant was transported to the PD. The defendant was later turned over to BSO. So this is tough again, and I'm happy that I redid this. We read the whole situation. There's a later part of this video. I'm leaving it in the video. It's about a guy who is reacting to, he's reacting to like this fake video. And I really just made it a point to ensure that, hey, people understand what you're looking at. And to be honest, at this point, I think I'm going to just take that part out of the video, because this is clearly substantial enough that I think the conversation needs to be had, right? With all that we know now, I think I even talked about it in the part that I just edited and uploaded. It's crazy that I was like, hey, it seems like at this point, the NFL is probably not going to step in, right? And I alluded to the fact that, hey, it's not a felony. It's just a misdemeanor. It's mostly a misdemeanor because it was his first time. But oftentimes when you get to the trial period, that's the time, or he was in front of the judge before he bailed out. There's a moment where you or time when there's gonna be right. If there would be escalation, that's what it is. Sorry, this is crazy. Look, I really like Quinshawn Judkins. I've been following him since Ole Miss. You can go back and watch the videos I've been watching. In all those videos, there have never been any negative personal things said about him. This is by all accounts coming out of the blue. I know some Ole Miss people are gonna come in the comments and say, oh my God, because he transferred for money, yada, yada. Dog, please stop. This is just modern college football. I don't want to hear that. Stop taking that so seriously. It's college football. They didn't do anything to you personally. They're doing what's best for their family. I say all that to say, you can be wrong, and new things can come out in situations like this. I'm hoping that these are lies. But when you see something, or it's in an official police report, this isn't something where, hey, I'm reporting it, and then later on, it's confirmed that not only did she have visible bruising 5 days after the incident, right? But she also has pictures and the proof and the evidence, and it's clearly substantial enough for him to go in. So I made some earlier videos and possibly even the video that I made where I was like, hey, man, you really do hope it was either lying or it was just a misunderstanding. I really hope just because of the way DV cases are handled, you really hope that this is just something where, hey, it was a lot of anger, whatever. She's upset. Cool. It happens. Right. And I do want to address the part, because in my last video, I did talk about, I was like alluding to what it could be. And one of the things I said, that's why you saw me. I was like, hey, there it is. There's a text thing. I did not know there was going to be later details about that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, hey, boom. I was at least right about that idea. But when you start reading more into that, it's just like, it's not dope. So just to get that out of the way, because I know there's going to be certain people who still see this and don't feel bad for the like. There's going to be people on both sides, right? And what I will say is that, you know, there's people who will attack the victim for saying, "Oh my God, she's anxious" or whatever. And it's funny, in the other version I made, I was talking about like, okay, well, what's the excuse for waiting 5 days? She said that she felt bad for, you know, the newfound success. I made the notion that maybe she was a little scared because she's basically trapped with this person. And as you see, in and out of the car, even in the backseat, if this is true, getting attacked, like this is a whole different thing. And the fact that it was something over text messages is something over, you know, some he said, she said stuff. That becomes even more he said, she said. DV is already he said, she said. But then you're talking about text messages. People are upset about this and that. I don't know what she did. We have no idea. Because some people are gonna get in the comments and say, "Hey man, well, you know, maybe she did something foul." Dog, there's just not an excuse, man. I wanted to get that out of the way, the whole text message thing. I want to get out the whole anxious thing. I want to get those out of the way. Hey, why did she wait 5 days? She gave her a example, and to be honest with you, I think some people would understand that example, right? And then of course pressuring from your family. And I want to end this by just saying that I think in my other video, I made a point that I said, hey, women in this situation, like this is a lot of pressure. And I made the idea of like, hey, this is basically you have someone's career in your hand, right? You have, if it isn't as serious or whatever, or XYZ, if you know, pass it on, you can allow this person to get generational wealth and allow him to change not just his life, but his family's life, right? So it's bigger than just Quinshon. It's his whole family that was waiting on that NFL money, right? So that type of pressure, and I want to say, the reason why I want to reimagine on that is because I think anybody in this circumstance, this is a hard circumstance to be in, dog. Like having the idea of measuring your own safety and the idea that you can take somebody else's success away, because that's what is going to happen. I mean, if this is substantiated, dog, the NFL is not going to be happy. The NFL is not going to be happy. But again, we still have to go through the process XYZ. But as it stands right now, like this is such a crazy situation. Like this, I don't want people to read these things, see the 5 days, see, oh, well, he waited, she waited, blah, blah, blah. She knew XYZ. I don't want that to be the comments because I've addressed all those things. So don't come at me in the comments with that. I want you to take this victim as she is, because you know, you should believe victims, right? I'm not sure about the whole believe all victims. You shouldn't believe everybody, but I do think you should, when people have the strength to actually call the police, like y'all say they should, call the police, give her statement, have proof. She clearly took the pictures when it happened, right? She was smart enough to have that. She was smart enough to go to the police and say, hey, the police said she had visible bruising in both areas, right? Again, hey, I don't know, maybe she did something. Maybe she did something to herself. Those are still possible. I'm not saying that's impossible. But as it looks right now, it's not looking great, dog. It's looking like, I want you to understand, forget about how you feel about it. I want you to know this means the NFL is going to have to do something. I guarantee you. Now, whether that's a suspension because it's just a misdemeanor, yada, yada, yada. But we read the NFL exemptions list. And in the NFL exemptions list, obviously, you know, paid time leave for, you know, any felony, they can just boom, any felony, any physical threats or stuff like that, they can do that. And also any misdemeanor or anything, even if he's proven innocent, it's not about being proven guilty. So just this going out could get him on the what's it called, commissioner's list, which means he's going to have to sit on the sideline. Doesn't even get a chance to play. That could be very well. He could, or he could get a what's it called, suspension. There can be a lot of different situations that happen. But I do think it's crazy. Or not crazy, but I do want to point out that like, just because it's a misdemeanor, just even if the worst case scenario, she was lying, all that stuff, it does not take away from his like possibility of him either one getting exempt list, because we read it, if it's a misdemeanor, but it is like of an if it shows bad conduct through that, even though it's a misdemeanor, but it shows bad conduct, like physical harm, specifically they had something about physical harm against other people, it's over, dog. And the commissioner's example that, hey, it's as long as either the what's it called, investigation is, or as long as he wants it to be. I think Deshaun was on it for like a year and a half. I completely forgot. As a Texans fan, I try to just wash that out of my mind. But no, dog. If you believe in the court system, I don't. I don't think it does a good job doing legalities, right? And or at least getting the truth, and specifically with revitalization and rehabbing people, right? But if you do believe in those things, if we're going by that, there still needs to be a process. He hasn't been convicted, it hasn't been whatever, it's still a misdemeanor, right? But this is a terrible look. The only positive you have to hope is that she's lying, because that would mean that she didn't actually get, that means that Quinshon didn't actually do that to her. But at this point, there's proof. The cop has confirmed proof of it. This is one of the worst case scenarios ever for the Browns. And it seems like the Browns keep doing it. I know we talked about in the last video, this is like this is like 4 out of 3 years that they've had somebody arrested for DV. This is back to back. What's it called? In 2 years. Do I have it here? Yeah, here it is. A Browns second round pick has now been arrested in back-to-back seasons before week 1. And they're both from what's it called? They're both from Ohio State too. This is awful. I just want to end it by saying that, again, like I alluded to, there's still more to come. There can be an exoneration, and if more facts come out, I would love to get back on the Quinshawn Judkins train. But as it is right now, dog, just on the NFL standpoint, I highly predict that there's going to be some sort of, what do you call it? Some sort of consequence coming from the NFL. And then from a personal standpoint, dog, I can't be on the Quinshawn Judkins train unless he's absolved, unless something happens, unless there's something that we don't get, because it's only her side of the story as it stands. And I'm going to leave that open. But this is terrible, dog. This is. I know people are saying it's the Browns just being the Browns, yada, yada, yada. Again, Quinshon hasn't had any past stuff, so I think it's harder to say that. And people keep alluding to the Deshaun Watson thing. Deshaun Watson, you should have seen that. Like, there's a bunch of writing on the wall there. Seemingly, there was no writing on the wall with Quinshawn Judkins. So call it a curse, call it what it is. Call it, say Andrew Berry may not be the best at evaluating talent, but this got a whole lot stickier. Specifically because of those details, it might just force the NFL's hands. So y'all let me know how you feeling down low in the comments. I think we're just going to wrap the video here. Again, I'm not going to put the other part. I had a whole thing about video. Forget it. Forget all that. This is just a terrible situation, man. Y'all continue to be great. We'll see you next time. Peace.